Welcome to Now. I'm your host, Curtis Parody, bringing you the news happening in the world right now. Well, happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope you're doing well, and of course, if not, maybe this next piece of awesome future tech can cheer you up. With Microsoft's big Xbox event fast approaching on May 21st, rumors are beginning to swirl about what they could have in store for the public at this event. We're sure to see a new gaming box, possibly a Kinect 2.0 sensor system, but what about something else? Another way for Microsoft to not only bring us into the game, but the room we're in. Microsoft's new Lumi Room technology looks to turn your room into the game. Using a small projector system that could be placed on your coffee table, the device will scan your room, then expand the visuals of the game you're playing onto the walls and furniture around your TV. Now, the Illuma Room technology is not intended to replace your TV, as the TV is still the center of the gaming content. The Illuma Room simply extends the experience of the TV outside the confines of the box. Another interesting fact about Illuma Room is its ability to map the area it's projecting on and change the projections accordingly. With this, the projector could actually cut out furniture and not project onto that, just project onto the wall behind it. Also, using some very interesting filters, it could transform the look of your room. It's great! Basically, Microsoft just brought like Instagram to the real world. By far the coolest thing though that the system can do is actually project back onto your furniture in a way that's not really apparent at first, but when something like a bomb goes off inside of your game, a shockwave is actually sent out from your TV using this system. So as you can see, this looks pretty freaking cool, but the big question about all of this is, could it be coming soon? And for how much? Projector systems are not the cheapest things to buy, and beyond that, the Illuma Room looks great at Microsoft's labs, but what about in our living rooms? Will the systems be able to adapt to different furniture and layouts of rooms? Or will they only work under very strict circumstances? At this time though, it's hard to say, but look out, because on May 21st, Microsoft may talk a bit more about this cool futuristic tech. Talking about tech in the living room, looks like Imax made a big announcement today. For a small fee, Imax will actually come to your home and set up a 4K 3D IMAX theater. Wait, did I say small fee? I meant huge, like crazy huge. Sorry about that, but hey, the company will come to your home, and based on the space available to them, they'll actually design from the ground up an awesome IMAX experience right in your home, taking into account the geometry of your room, setting up a 7.1 channel surround sound system, and a floor-to-ceiling curved screen. The system even comes with two 4K digital projectors, one for 2D content and the other for 3D. So the big question, of course, how much could this personal IMAX experience cost? Well, not too much. Of course, I did say it was kind of crazy high, but it's not too high. It's just like $1 to $2 million. But hey, you get 24-hour technical service, so of course, it's pretty much worth it. Or maybe not. I know if I had a few million to spend, I'd be all over this. It's freaking cool. But since I don't, well, of course, I'm not going to have an IMAX in my home anytime soon. But hey, if you have a ton of money, this is a thing. Continuing to talk about movies here, this next story isn't about how big the film is, it's about how small it is. The awesome people over at IBM have pulled off a rather interesting feat today. They've created the smallest ever stop-motion film. And not smallest like it's like 1 second long, smallest like the film was created by moving atoms around on a very flat surface. Here you can see a series of dots. Each one of those dots are actually a single atom. Now, by changing the place of those atoms over and over again, the people over at IBM were not only able to draw out a boy playing with a ball, but also animate it. The movie is fairly simple, but just looking at it, I don't even think I could draw that type of movie like on a piece of paper, let alone move around atoms to create it. Andre Henrik, IBM's principal scientist for the project, said that it's the first time anything so small has been manipulated to tell a story. He also said, "This movie is a fun way to share the atomic scale world. The reason we made this was not to convey a scientific message directly, but to engage with students to prompt them to ask questions." Well, props to you, Andre, because, well, I think it succeeded. IBM also uploaded a great behind-the-scenes video talking about the creation of this short film and how exactly they did it. I'm not gonna lie, as a tech person, I kind of found the making of just as good, if not better, than the movie itself. It's amazing to see what type of cool things the people over at IBM are working on. The people who actually worked on this movie are also working on a new data storage system based on atoms. This new system will allow them to store data on 12 atoms instead of the current 1 million atoms needed. With this advancement in storage in the near future, it may be possible to not only store 40 movies on your iPhone, but every single movie you've ever seen. Because of research like this, the limitations of data storage could be pushed to such a high level that I think even for a person like myself who stores tons of data, it could no longer be a worry. So if you want to check out the smallest movie ever made and the behind the scenes for it, check out the links in the description below. You'll be surprised what you'll find. And keeping on the tech theme today, let's touch a little on the next generation of iOS. Last year, if you didn't already know, the head of iOS's division over at Apple, Scott Forstall, was actually fired from his position as many within the company began to have problems with what he was doing with the product. Forstall was part of the original team at Apple that created iOS, and with that, a majority of what we do on devices like this are because of what Forstall set forth. But with his firing, a new manager was put in place of the software. This person is the lead industrial designer, Johnny Ive. Ive and his team have been responsible for designing the hardware look of every Apple product since the very first iMac. So you may be thinking, how on earth does this play into current events? Well, Ive has actually never been a fan of the design of iOS, and now that he's in charge of it, rumors are swirling that he's doing a major overhaul. But will the newly designed iOS 7 be ready for WWDC in June? Many rumors are pointing to no. Rumors around the subject are pointing to a massive overhaul being months behind schedule, and people within the company are even being moved around to help. Now, for myself, I'm excited to see what the new iOS will look like, because, well, I've said it in the past, and I'll say it again, iOS is kinda boring. It doesn't look modern anymore, and hey, if you look at it next to the latest version of Android, I see one modern operating system that's changed over time, and another that since its introduction in 2007, has changed very little. So we'll just have to wait and see what's announced at WWDC this year, but all signs point to something big. So jumping back to the very first story of the day, I want to know, what do you think of Microsoft's Illuma Room technology? And would you be interested in buying it? Tell me what you think in the comment section below, or of course you can always let me know on my Facebook page, through Twitter, or on Google+. Links to all that and the other topics I talked about in today's episode in the description below, along with the always amazing subscribe button. So until next time, I'm Curtis Parody, and that's what's happening now. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. You can of course check out more videos that I create by clicking on them below. Check out now for the latest news happening in the world right now, Paradise Gaming for some fun gameplay videos, or of course my personal vlog channel to see what I'm doing outside of my studio. Also, if you're interested in supporting the show and getting some new clothes for yourself, just like this shirt, you can pick up this one if you want. Check out the store at thecurtisparodystore.ca. Bye everyone.